Welcome to Sri and Kira Live. As our world spins seemingly out of control, we are all experiencing time speeding up, chaos shifting to a new level, and a yearning to know the greater mysteries of the universe. What does it all mean? Visionary spiritual teachers and best-selling authors Sri Ram Ka and Kira Ra explore these mysteries, offer live soul readings, and invite you to open up your mind, body, and spirit to the paradigms that are shifting. Bringing you fresh perspectives and timeless wisdom, here are Sri and Kira.
Namaste, beloved ones, and welcome to Sri and Kira Live. I am wisdom teacher Sri Ram Ka.
And I am Master Lady Kira Ra. And beloved ones from these are our wild orchids. I took this picture this morning on our morning walk up the mountain here at Tosa Blue Mountain here in Ecuador. Welcome. Welcome to a weekend, a solstice illumination, an ascension. I'm just going to use the word upgrade. And so much to share, especially since last week we did not broadcast. It was a fascinating energy that happened last week. So this week we've got last week's show plus what's going on this week. It's a big show.
We're going to give you the goodies, but the first goodie I want to share with you is what's right behind us.
Woo, yeah.
Please enjoy this.
I'm going to scoochie. Yeah, because there we go. Is that look at this orchid. Is that gorgeous?
These are growing wild on the hillside here at Tosa Blue Mountain, Ecuador. And it's such a delight to go for a walk and go, wait a minute, that's an orchid. Or wait a minute, that's edible.
You know, last night after the beautiful multicultural celebration that we hosted, and oh my goodness, was an incredible success. Hey, if you were not there, just go register for the event where the videos will be put up. There will be the full 3-hour broadcast, plus there's all the bonus videos that we have being posted up there, and it's all yours to enjoy as our gift to humanity. So get to shriandkira.com and get in there so that you can pay it, really enjoy what's going on with that.
Absolutely, because it was a gathering of love and celebration, and it will nourish you
in every way. And that energy is gaining momentum right now. And that's why we felt this was so incredible this morning, because the one thing you may not be aware of, these orchids are about the size of the tip of your thumb. So this whole incredible, gorgeous thing here, right, is literally maybe that big, the tip of your thumb. That's how big they are individually.
Yeah. Due to the miracle of digital photography, the camera was only 2 inches away from the flower, and this is what it looks like up close.
And the reason I'm sharing this is it feels so perfect for this week. Because remember, last week was that week of sailing on the river. Last week was what? It was all about, okay, I'm on the river and I'm sailing through June. This is that week that's bringing me to yesterday, the 19th, which was what? It was that bridge day into today's solstice illumination. Remember that today, this very day, June 20th, as a matter of fact, I think it's like at 11:32 tonight Eastern time, so, adjust wherever you are, is when that actual moment, that opportunity to reclaim a balance in the middle of a trajectory that we opened on the March equinox is in front of humanity now. And that's why today, as Sri and I, we were actually up at the site that we're praying will be our new private home. And when we were coming down the pathway, these jumped out at us. And I wanted to share them with you because it's about paying attention this week. It's about where is the beauty, and are you walking right by it because you're so focused on the distraction? Or are you honestly gifting yourself with the beauty that's here right now? And it brings me back again to yesterday, because yesterday we had so many of you that joined us live, and thank you, that are you gifting yourself with the beauty? Are you willing? And again, go register for the June event. Go check it out. 3 hours of over 20 amazing speakers, incredible energies and sharing, that are inviting the heart of humanity, just like these incredible, beautiful, beautiful orchids, to captivate your attention, rather than to let the fear of humanity captivate your attention. So take in a breath, because that's the moment we're in. And when we get to the calendar in just a moment, I'm going to show you how that trajectory is following all week. It's a powerful week.
Well, you had me at take a breath.
Oh, okay. I like that always.
Because one of the things that I wish to remind us all is that when we pause and take a conscious breath, let's do it now.
Yeah, let's do that.
When we bring our attention to our breath, we are returning to the essence of the exchange of vitality, the essence of the vibration or the flow of life. And I'm reminded as I gaze at these beautiful little micro orchids that are growing our hillside, I'm reminded of a poem that I'm sure many of you know. It's from the Native American tradition, and it ends with, "Beauty all around me, may I walk." To walk in beauty means I am present to what is, because beauty is all around us. And are we noticing? Are we letting it gift us with the reassurance that beauty is? Consider for a moment, beauty is reassuring and nourishing to every part of you.
Right?
It only needs to be recognized.
Oh.
There's a beautiful practice. Walk around with your pen and paper and log how many beautiful moments you can capture. I don't mean to distract us from the beauty, but just the idea that I'm going to pay attention could change your life.
I'm actually loving that, Sri. And I'm remembering too that, hey, all of you that are sitting at home going, can we call in? Yes, we forgot to give you those numbers. So please, if you're catching us live, 517-208-1500 gets you in over at Oneness Talk Radio, where there's quite a few of you in there already, even without us giving you the call board. 517-208-1500. And Sri, BBS, that 800 number.
888-627-6008. 888-627-6008.
Make sure you get in there, because we really do enjoy talking to you. And one of the things that we want to bring back to your focus this week is also something that we tried to talk about last week, which is this experience, this awareness that humanity is having, especially around the heart, that can only be known as spiritual O.C.D. And we started talking about this last week. We're going to weave it in today. But the reason that we're inviting you to pay attention is that let me go ahead right now, and I'm going to put up for you the calendar for June. And here we are. So as you're looking at the June calendar, check out where we are today. We are getting ready. What happened last week? Just to go back, this week, remember, this month has been all about the transiting of the way the body is realigning its inner matrix. So you notice how the body of form was represented with that inner matrix, because this is the month where that inner matrix is waking up and saying, what do I do? Where am I going? And that's why you notice, if you look at the left arm, it's all, you see how all the bubbles of illumination that are part of that infinite presence are coming up from that open hand right there, which is July 1. You see July 1? So it looks as if July 1 has the open hand, if you're in meditation posture and you have that open hand, and then rising out of that hand is the full moon of what week? This week, the full moon of this week, from which you see, if you gaze at that, this is all part of that infinite experience that was directly connected to the 10th, to the June 10, when the Ave saw breath ignition, that practitioner ignition graced the planet. So this week, look what's happening. It's all about your power. It's all about your power. And Mercury retrograde completes tomorrow. It will not totally go back until July, but the Mercury retrograde itself completes tomorrow. Everything starts coming back with its fresh eyes. So everything that you have been putting together, remember last week was about the heart. It was a week of the heart and floating through the river and giving yourself the gift. Today, right now, yesterday, you see that flow, go back to the 19th, and in the corner of the 19th, left corner, you see the opening of that massive flow that was part of a cycle that began on the 15th. But if you look down, the 28th, the 22nd, the 15th, the 19th, the 26th, all part of this massive amplification of illumination that is because of today, right now. So this is huge. This is a week where it is about your empowerment, your divine power, as we are getting ready to go into this profound full moon that is literally radiating from the inner matrix of your divine presence. This is the time where absolutely knowing, I mean, really saying yes to that inner matrix of your divine presence and to let go of not knowing. In other words, someone asked me over the weekend, how do you know? How do you know? How do you know when you've gotten there? How do you know when you're there? How do you know when you've really arrived there? And the only response to that question that feels even close to being able to answer it is that it's the moment when you stop needing to have the answer to that question. It really is. It's the moment where you simply are it. You're not thinking about it. You're not worried about it. You're not feeling you need to do more or call it in or understand it. You're just living it. And you're so busy living it. It's so all-consuming. That's the illumination of this incredible solstice right now. We are in an ascension illumination moment where everything is in front of us and the inner matrix of the core of our being. This is why this is such a profound moment. Last week was all about the heart, and that's why it had to be Saturday the 19th. That's why we could not host a solstice event today. We had to make sure that the level of consciousness was available to be met by the consciousness that's inviting the inquiry. And I want you to breathe that one in as well. Met by the consciousness that's inviting the inquiry. So as Sri takes in a cup of tea on that, and as you take in a breath on that, those of you that are already with us in Monday Magic know that last Monday we showed you a miracle. And we started talking about what's happening with the way that the water is coming forward on our planet. With the way that the water is saying, I am here, who's receiving me? Who's reading this message? And what is the level of consciousness that's reading it? This week, the inner matrix of your body of form, I want to stand up because it's really important, and Sri, maybe we can talk about it more, right? When we're here, when we're in that third chakra, we're right here. Balance, right? We are in a month of what? A month of awareness. And June, July, August. Awareness, experience, choice. Awareness, experience, choice. Awareness, experience, choice. This, whatever's going on in June is all going to kind of capitulate in August. And it's going to be like a fountain of experience in September. And so in this week right now, when the inner matrix of the body is actually being gifted with an opportunity to realign itself, what is the propulsion mechanism that's in your third chakra right now? Notice your third chakra. Really take a moment. Because this is about, when we look at self-ascension, of course, it's about transmuting first, second, third chakras from safety, sex, and power to peace, love. What's the third chakra? Joy, right? So it's a week where if joy propels you, miracles are you. And I want to talk a little bit. Do we have that film? Are we able to show that film today? Yeah. I want to go and talk about how all this is blending together. So why don't you blend it together for us?
You want to talk first?
It's up to you. I didn't know if you wanted to jump in.
Yeah, well, I do, because one of the things that's been coming forward in our knowings is the power and the grace. And when I'm talking about grace, I'm talking about a healing.
Exactly.
Okay, the power and the healing energy of water. For far too long, I think humanity has kind of taken water for granted. Yet so many of the indigenous traditions recognize water as a living energy, as not only a life-giving energy, but an energy that actually can teach and sustain and nourish us. One of the joys we've had lately is being connected to a researcher who is doing fantastic work in the study of the consciousness of water.
And she was on yesterday. I mean, just like breathtaking stuff yesterday. You've got to go and register for yesterday and go look at it again.
So her name is Veda Austin, and she's been documenting the response of water in a petri dish that's frozen so that the image response can be seen. It sustains. And it's fantastic. I'm not going to describe her work right now other than to say that the mirroring of consciousness going on with the water is humbling. To think that we are in a planet that is mostly water, and that water is reflecting and amplifying the consciousness that is projected to it. So on the one hand, we can see that if people are holding what you could say to be more negative energy, that's actually the universe saying, okay, you want that? We'll support that.
And I want you to keep thinking about this week. We're sharing this because this week is all about what? It's about your joy and your empowerment.
On the other hand, if we breathe consciously and radiate positivity, we're informing the water molecules of our entire corpus, our entire body, let alone the outer world, to radiate that resurrection energy, to radiate that positivity back. So what happens when a large number of us are radiating that? Our whole planet will respond.
So true.
So it really brings us full circle to the knowingness that the solution to everything is consciousness. And even solution isn't the appropriate word. The destiny of humanity, the destiny of all sentient beings is an expanded consciousness, a state of enlightenment that radiates the purity of nirvana into the shared experience so that it may be mirrored back, and there is the ecstatic joy frequency ever present.
Breathe that in. Because that's that wave yesterday on the 19th. That's that flow that is yours right now. And so we want to share with you a 3-minute film that we premiered yesterday that was made by a beautiful friend of ours. And so take a moment and enjoy this. This was actually even a longer version of this was shown during the event yesterday, but we wanted to welcome you to the energy, the fun, and the information. And we'll be with you in a minute.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Well, first, what's interesting about this memory of water is like the first guy who talked about this and made like a real scientific study is Jacques Benveniste, this guy. It's crazy what he found, even though he didn't find much back then. It was really the beginning. This guy was a pioneer, you know. Except back then, this guy had no idea what he was doing, you know. That's what's crazy, you know. It was really pure intuition. What he thought is that matter carries an electromagnetic signal, but then they realized later, no, it's the water actually who has this ability to kind of record and contain magnetic fields and frequencies. But then, yeah, he can explain homeopathy, and again, you have very scientific experiment that just shows that there is something we measure. There is a whole world there to be discovered, you know.
One of the things that's so often overlooked on our planet is the potency and value that is water. Not only at the level of pure, clean drinking water for people to sustain their health and their vitality in these beautiful bodies that we're given. Water carries a living consciousness that reflects the vibrations, the thoughts, the projections that we put out into the atmosphere, into the world. So for example, consider that your body is 80% water, and if you are carrying depressed thoughts, your tissue functioning becomes depressed. And it goes further than that. We can affect the quality of the entire world based upon the thoughts we project and what the water hears and receives.
Water is the rebel element. It defies the laws of physics and gravity because it expands when it cools and it can climb up trees. It actually seeded the Earth on meteorites and asteroids, making it an alien substance of which we know barely anything about. But by molecular count, we're 99% of it. So what does this mean for us? Defiant, extraterrestrial, and immortal. Because although water can be polluted, it always transmutes into one of its stages. So essentially, we're looking at this incredibly powerful force of life, this force of energy of which we are. How we consider that is up to us. But I believe that water is worth considering because it is within every life form on this planet. And it's through water that we can truly understand one another if we choose to listen.
Hey there, I hope you enjoyed that as much as we did. And what a phenomenal gift to be in this moment where I want to go back to it. I've got to put up the June calendar as we're talking about the water because again, it's so important to understand. If you look at yesterday, the 19th, you see in the corner this beautiful entry that's part of this larger illuminated bubble that actually we first started experiencing this past week, starting on the 15th. And that is going to begin to get bigger as soon as Mercury completes tomorrow. You see it coming in right there on the 22nd again. And what's happening this week right now is that the inner matrix is meeting a new understanding of being. And it's coming in at your power center and it's reaching up through you. And Shri, it's all about, it's been entering in on the left side. What is the left side?
The left side is about your feminine nature or your ability to receive. So it's associated with what is coming into your life or what people call the future. What are we receiving? The left side of the body is able to allow that creative flow to come into present time. As opposed to the right side of the body, which is clinging to the older pictures.
So now look at that, because we had a heavy right side influence early in the month. But when those of you that own the Up Level calendar, and if you don't, you can still grab it at shriankira.com. It's yours for a donation. If you look at that picture, you'll see that what's happening is that it's an upswell. This is an illumination. And it is what the planet is saying as we came in from the March equinox. We know that we ignited that rainbow bridge and that rainbow bridge will not seal until September. However, what's happened is that as this June solstice came forward, it said, hey, waving the flag right now, we need some help because that upswell of illumination is not yet at a critical mass where it's actually affecting the consciousness elevation. And so this moment matters. Yesterday, and I really love the overlay of the density timing of yesterday. Remember, yesterday came in first through galactic time, way outside of anything that happens here. And when we remember the sacred sequence of ascended numerology, we know that the first thing that we are aligning with when we agree to take form again is the where, because the specific where automatically falls into place all of these other things that come with that. Because even the words we use, the names that we refer to things with, identify this moment. So yesterday, June 19, 2021, came in long before all of the experiences of density. And yet, yesterday was a beautiful convergence, was it not? Where in this specific world, in this specific moment, at this specific time, where balance is what we are being asked to call forward, it fell on a day that for the very first time was able to gain traction in the energy of oneness. It transcends the word freedom. The word freedom limits what happened yesterday. Freedom is absolutely one of the ingredients of the oneness stew, because yesterday was a oneness stew. I love sitting in these orchids, right? Yesterday was a oneness stew. There were so many things that were happening yesterday. Yet at the end of the day, which is actually today at around 11:30-ish Eastern time, as we move into the breath of the Monday where the Mercury retrograde releases out, in this day, because we're still in it, in our oneness stew, was the ignition that we are one, that our diversity is our blessing, that the gift of it all is that the heart of humanity is the same, regardless of the wrapper that comes in around it. And that heart is not limited to that which carries the form that we enjoy. It carries many other forms and pulses in many different ways. And that part of that oneness stew and part of what happened yesterday is realizing that what makes it all possible is the water. And that the water herself, itself, thyself, he self, all, has come forward in this moment to say, if you have arrived to where you understand what I am offering, then I am ready as you are. It is an invitation to those that are ready to carry a higher level of consciousness to actually live that energy, to be the energy, to remember, right? What is the sacred sequence? It is sincerity plus love plus presence equals miracles 100% of the time. It always does, right? And you couple that with something as simple as the mantra of self-ascension and an Ave Sa breath, and suddenly you transform density. And as Einstein so beautifully reminds us, you are outside of where the problem was created, thereby you can only receive the solutions. And thereby your intuition is a 24-hour stream of cosmic energy, rejuvenation, reverse aging, inspiration, miracle in action, law of instantaneous manifestation, period, end of story, done. So breathe that for a minute, because that's the week ahead that your inner matrix is saying, thank you. Can I have this up-level illumination, right? Coming in from the left with my divine feminine energy.
Nothing happens without your permission.
Wow.
Now, just breathe that in for a second.
I will, wow.
Which means
Important.
every so-called unhappy experience has had a degree of your permission wrapped into it.
Yes.
We co-create, and that means that we have co-creators participating with us. So, though, without getting into a whole teaching on that, I just want to invite us to recognize that we are response able for the qualities that we are experiencing.
Absolutely.
And thereby we can find delight in the experience, because all experiences have light in them, do they not? And if we can find and delight in the experience, we're back to the orchids.
Woohoo!
We're back to the beauty.
Yes, we are.
You know, one of the things that I found joy in just a few minutes ago, they're so precious.
They're this big. That orchid, that beautiful orchid, is the size of the tip of my thumb. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it was fine. One of the things that I found joy in when we shared those video clips is that our friend Veda Austin was talking about water as a rebel element, and I enjoyed her
Don't we love that?
play on words. According to science, and you can decide what level of truth there is here, water arrived at the sphere
Yep.
on meteors. It came from beyond and began the process. Now, I'm not here to teach science. I am here to suggest that when we connect with the oceans, the dolphins, the whales, the cetaceans, is there not a quality to those beings that seems to be beyond the normal Earth kind of experience? Just play with that a second. Is there not a consciousness in the dolphins and the whales that seems to be out of the ordinary?
Transcendent.
Transcendent, perhaps. And is there not a consciousness in you when you consider that you entered the earth plane associated with your birth, right? And as Kira was talking about the sacred sequence, we entered this reality. And again, without suggesting cosmology, I think we can agree that when we took birth, we came from somewhere. Just let that float around your brain, because the way we grow is to evolve the paradigms which have kept us in a more limited state. Growth always has joy and discomfort associated with it, because there is the letting go aspect and the embracing aspect of the new paradigms, the new experiences. So we are growing in discernments. We're growing in the expansion of our energy. We are growing in our capacity to love what was seemingly incongruent before. To be able to love in a new way.
Yeah.
This isn't a should, this is a natural evolution of gaining respect and appreciation for all that is.
Yeah.
It happens naturally when we just kind of relax. Back to that breath. Present moment. I'm breathing. Beauty all around. I am here. I am ready. I am open. Guide me. And we co-create.
Indeed.
There's the wrap up of everything right there.
Well, it really is. And in that co-creation, let us not forget that that is not partially, forgive me, that is the awareness that's happening in this month. June, July, August. It's a 3-month period. June, July, August. And so what's happening this month right now? Well, I want to share with you once again that in the experience of the fear dimension, I want you to look at this, right? The third dimension, remember, we are always on this ever-refining spiral. So we're never going to make a mistake. We're never going to not make it. We're never going to mess up. You know how we're always like, oh my God, did I mess up this lifetime? No. But there is a spiral energy. And what's happening right now is that we co-created in this energy of co-creation this brand new dimension that very few people want to talk about, because this is where the biggest ascension symptom of all resides: fear. The big F, the ultimate F, the F that quite frankly should be bleeped more than the other one. This is the big F, guys. This is the one that's going to F with you, I'll tell you that. The fear dimension, look how big it is. And it's watery, but it is not water. What it is a coagulation or a congestion from a planetary thought body. You see that black looks like a cardiac beat there? Okay, that is actually the energy of the planetary thought body that is very much stuck in the victim cycle. So you see what you have here is an incident. So start at the left where the fear dimension began. You notice the pulse beat's a little small there. Okay, we're dealing with things. Yeah, not happy. Life is okay. I can deal with this. I got a handle on it. Oh my God, we just had a big incident. Humanity freaks out. They dip to a low. It's kind of like watching the stocks. They dip to a low, but then they immediately bounce, but it's how they bounce back and for how long. And then there's a sense of false stability, and there's the healing, and everything's getting good, and we're all paying attention until the complacency sets in again, and bam, you see the next wave. And then bam, you see the next wave. And then bam, you see the next wave. Well, here is why it is so important to understand that ascension symptom. Because the one ascension symptom that can honestly really help you right now is fear. And this is where the spiritual OCD can actually be your blessing. Because spiritual OCD, which in density is very much about obsessive compulsive disorder, in whatever way you want to experience that, leads to fundamentalism. Spiritual OCD will lead to fundamentalism because spiritual OCD is where you are still living in a polarized view of the world, which many, many, many well-known, respected spiritual teachers live, because it's a fourth dimensional ego fest. And it's big. And it's really big. And this is why the inner matrix of humanity is saying, wait a minute, you've been throwing egocentric culture at us now for quite a while. We've literally gone in reverse that way. And that's just part of the spiral. At some point, you're going to spiral up. At some point, you're going to spiral down. And at some point, you're going to go, oh, I'm spiraling laterally. Which way do I want to go? That's the consciousness evolution. And that's why we all chose to be here now. Because we've been spiraling laterally here for a long time, constantly coming to the same conclusion, which is why virtually every being on the planet, regardless of the protoplasm you carry, within you carries this sense of imminent end, this sense of a big catastrophe, that blip, and that created that planetary fear experience. It's because at the core of that which is here now, you've done that just a few too many times, in a few too many ways. And being obsessed with the past, as Archangel Zadkiel always says, the past is just that, past. We are here now to illuminate our consciousness, to have learned enough from the past to not recreate it, versus having to go back to it. And this is happening and playing out at every level of consciousness, every single one. And this is because of, and I just want to pop it again because it's so important to understand, do we have it? No, that's not it. Okay, that's the cycle of ascended consciousness. I'm looking for the, I guess it's not here right now, the spiral time seems to be gone. So forgive me that what I want to show you is not here right now. Yep. And so the spiral time, which is in another reason to own the ascended, the up-level calendar, the spiral time that we're in right now is getting ready to have the next pulse hit. Remember, we had 3 of those waves, and June was the mirror of the one from May. And now come July 1, and I can show you just really quickly here on this calendar. Look at July 1 again. July 1 is the Thursday where you see the hands, your hands are, which half of your arm is saying, what am I still receiving? Is going to meet the energy that's going to fill you this week. You really want this week to be about the filling and the illumination. And from that, the multidimensional presence will guide into a co-creation unlike any you have seen before. And so the question is, are you consciously commanding this co-creation, or are you standing back being whipsawed by it? Because it's happening regardless the level of consciousness. It's just when you apply the level of consciousness, it becomes a lot of fun and extremely positively productive.
Everything that you experience is a reflection of your level of consciousness. And this is why, unique to this recent time, we mentioned this a year ago, that fear for the first time can be an ascension symptom. But let's look a little deeper at this. Fear has dominated density consciousness forever.
Too long.
And the issue there is that the fear is greeted at a level of consciousness that considers it to be a real force and incorporates all kinds of responses because of the reality of the fear. As opposed to when you reach a stage, call it a moment in your own consciousness, where you are aware of yourself witnessing fear.
Right.
So now the fear could be happening.
Breathe that in. You are aware of yourself witnessing fear.
And the fear could be happening in this body, in a part of you that has a habitual response to things. And then the observer is going, oh, oh. And in that observer witnessing energy is the opportunity to take a breath and go, I am not identified with that level of engagement. There is something happening that I used to understand as fear, and it would drive my choices. Now I see it is a habitual response based upon a level of consciousness that is no longer driving me. So as you begin to evolve through that, then that is the gateway to your freedom. To understand that the habitual responses are not you, they're simply a software program that was conditioned and running until you intervene.
There it is.
Until you say, I choose differently, we get the same old software. And there's 2 points here that are just important. One of them is congratulations. Fear then becomes your ascension symptom because you now can use it to accelerate your empowerment rather than deflate your self-worth.
Breathe that in.
When that fear arises, you can accelerate your empowerment.
There it is.
And this brings me to a very important opportunity for each and every one of you, and that is that Kira and I have refined a program called Navigating the Inner Matrix. It is a 9-week program of personal transformation and empowerment with a spiritual basis. And we have been teaching this, and our teachers have been teaching this for many years with thousands of proven testimonials. And we decided that because of the importance of this time upon us, that Kira and I will teach this program again live on video to give it the fullness of this energy, this up-level energy.
As with the I am, the Navigating the Inner Matrix igual, it is up-leveling. And so what I find fascinating about this is that number one, it starts July 1. Get in there now, because this is limited because of the coaching. And so you do get coaching. So you want to get in there. It's limited to attendance. So get in there. And yes, if you have taken it before, you do get a discount. Get in and register and you'll see all the information. This is a moment where when the Ascended Masters guided us and we were like, okay, I have to admit, when this all came in as part of this year-long journey that so many of you are on with us right now, and if you're just hearing about it for the first time, you can still get in, right? And I have to admit, I looked at Tree and said, why are we not starting with NIM? You know, why is NIM not like the first thing? Because if there was one thing that you wanted to do to really ignite your spiritual life, to really clear out victim consciousness forever and step into your mastery presence, it's absolutely Navigating the Inner Matrix. It is the foundation of the yoga of self-ascension. It's the one that at some point you're going to have to take. Seriously, if you're going to do it.
Once. Most people repeat it because it's so powerful.
It's that profound. And what we have been honored is that we have watched it be the foundation of so many people that are so happy and have done so well. And we have literally been teaching this for 15 years.
Yeah.
15 years.
One of the things that I just want to offer is that when something carries truth and potency, it will be there for you.
Yep.
And so many people have taken the Navigating the Inner Matrix, which we refer to as NIM, and have had great lifting. And then, of course, like all things in life, they get immersed in their life, and all of a sudden a few little triggers come up and they go, I need to revisit this. They then refine and unwind those triggers, and before you know it, they're at a whole new level permanently, not just on the weekend workshop.
Yeah.
And this is why it's a 9-week program.
Well, and what's so amazing is that it brings you through peace, 3 weeks, love, 3 weeks, joy, 3 weeks, and at the end of the day, let us not forget, the reason the Navigating the Inner Matrix exists is because it is the first activation of the violet flame of transmutation within. And because of the energetic attunement activation and up-level frequency that happens during those 9 weeks, you are then ready to enter the golden ray, and this year, for the first time ever, the diamond ray at New Year. Those are the only 2 programs Sri and I offer that have a hard prerequisite that cannot be shortcut. In order to be part of Golden Ray activation, and this year, and this is why, takes us back to my question, which was why we were told clearly it would be the 9 weeks beginning with the 1st of July. And this is why it's every Thursday night, because it had to start on July 1. And we literally put this on our calendar first and then kind of backed in all the other dates, which is why we were late with some other dates, because this was will always be the foundation. And so sincerely, really pay attention, number one, to the timing. These are going to be the 9 weeks that humanity is going to be glad that we're holding each other every week. And what we know from Monday Magic is that the perfection of the message that's delivered every week on every Monday is only going to be amplified, but by what we know is going to be the sequencing of NIM, because those 2 things are going to be happening simultaneously. So I'm very, very excited to see how the Monday-Thursday tie-in comes together.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And one of the things that is so perfect is that in this time of fear becoming an ascension symptom, each of us is ready to step fully through that which would seek to hold us back. That fear-based stuff. You know, our world really promotes victim consciousness.
Doesn't it, though?
It idealizes it. It says, oh, it's so charismatic to be afraid or polarized or whatever expressions of that victim energy, or to be judgy.
Right. That's the big one.
And so that is a strata of consciousness that keeps pulsing that fear dimension, because it's bouncing in polarity that is not empowered to lift through the 4th dimensional BS. When we are able to reside in our ascended hearts, we find great freedom, we find great power, we find great divine connection. And that divine connection is nourishing, sustaining, and contributes to our intuitive knowing of what the next step might be. So we invite you to really pause and consider, is this not a time to make an energetic investment in your trajectory?
Well, especially right now, because what's really amazing, and this is the other thing that I just have to pop up the June calendar again. This calendar was done before we knew we were putting Navigating the Inner Matrix. We had no idea, and so that's actually why I selected this graphic to be the new Navigating the Inner Matrix, because it had been in this calendar. And looking at what happens on July 1, look at, if you didn't catch it already, I want you to look coming right out of the middle of that hand. If you're catching this in video, notice that there's a beam of light coming right up out of the center of the hand. That is the activation of the illumination of now that is literally keeping everything together. It is, and I'm sorry I don't have the graphic to show you, it is the open torus. It is the ignition of the 0 point energy field. And this is really, really important, because it's June, July, August. It is a big energy moment. And imagine you're conscious that the inner matrix of all that you are is reconfiguring. Have you wondered why families are honestly splitting apart? Why suddenly people who would never say things that they would have said in the past are saying now? I mean, why it is becoming brother against brother, father, all of that. It's because the heart of humanity itself is in a moment of rapid up-level. And that up-levels everything, because energy is neutral. And so when the conscious mastery presence that brought you here, or you would not be connecting with this show, or Sri and I, no matter what you may be thinking in the background, hear that. If you're here, it's there. It's there. Even if you deny it, it's there. So that mastery presence that brought you into this lifetime is actually being tapped on the shoulder. And right now it's actually kind of being really like, hey, the tapping's over. It's kind of like, excuse me, right? That piece of you is activating in whatever way is calling you, because the critical mass of consciousness has not risen enough to affect a foregone conclusion. And I'm not forecasting that conclusion. I'm not giving you a date for that, because that would be irresponsible. What I am offering you is the opportunity to take charge of it, to stop thinking you're a victim, to stop thinking it's outside of you, to stop thinking that they are going to fix it. There is no they, and they are not coming, and they sure as hell aren't coming for you or for me or anybody else except themselves. So knowing that, really knowing that, ignites your freedom, because what the universe is saying is, look, when did you stop knowing that you are already creating it if you let go of the distractions seeking to stop it? Mm-hmm. That when you put on your focus, everything happens. And I want to share the story, Shri, if you don't mind. Shri and I, we're very, very blessed. Those of you that I hope you're all with us every Monday night. And if you're not, why not? And get in there, get to our website and get into Mondays. But we are very blessed right now that several other original versions of the beautiful series of books by the I Am books, the originals, have come to us. Mm-hmm. And every day I'm called to read more. We read together. There's so much happening. And one of the chapters we recently read really hit me, because it was when they were in, I believe it was in San Francisco, meeting with a group that came to be known as the 100%ers. And what struck me so deeply was the message that was coming in from the Divine Directors. This is in the Divine Directors book. And I felt as if it was a message to Shri and I and to all of you. And that's why I'm sharing the story, because what the Divine Director said was, we are celebrating with you right now a momentous occasion where much has happened. And we cannot share more with you about what has happened other than this is marking a moment. And it's an exciting moment. And then they went on to say that in this room right now, what we are celebrating even more is that not in any of your consciousness was there even the question of, tell us why. That's the moment your master is being invited to again, is to say, I get it. I don't need to be bogged down in the tell me why. I get it. Now let me receive what I know and take action.
Love that.
Yeah, right?
Love that.
Right?
To receive what I know.
And take action.
Oftentimes we collapse at the thought that we might be out on the forefront by taking action, as opposed to simply being aligned with, this is the action to take.
Right?
And not be preoccupied with consequences. You know, as we're coming to a close today,
how did that happen? My gosh!
I have one.
Sorry, everybody on the phone. Call next week. It was a big info day.
I just want to share one more thing, because it's also a celebration of water.
Yes.
Water, consciousness, flow. Everything about this conversation is an opportunity to ignite trust. Yes. Does water distrust? Water flows.
And water becomes whatever it needs to be to greet any situation without ego.
Absolutely.
It just instantaneously becomes what is needed. And so, beloved ones,
hang on,
let's show. Yeah. Okay, got it, Shri. Let's go.
So,
a surprise.
So I was because we switched out our studio computer because of last week's stuff. We wanted to make sure we had a little more robust. Anyway, I ran across this photo.
Whoa!
Which was taken at Lake Atitlan.
And is water.
Around 2012. And here you go. And this is showing you the water vapor surrounding this ascended master, who literally emerged through the lake.
And is literally walking on the water. And this is our hotel, which we actually own again, Tosa La Laguna, at Lake Atitlan. And Shri was the one who took this picture. He was actually returning.
Yeah.
You were on the boat. And so thank you, Shri, because water also reminds us of the mastery presence.
The mastery presence reminds us to trust that flow is all around.
What a beautiful sharing. And beloved ones, join us tomorrow night. Monday Magic, the I Am discourses, and Tuesday night, Jane Britton's returning to Soul Mirrors. And we're going to announce the winners of that auction. Click on the link, donate, make a difference, and go in and watch the replays. So much love.
Beloved ones, until we have the joy of being with you live again, may you breathe consciously, trust, and know that all is truly well. Namaste.
Thank you for joining us at Shri and Kira Live. To have your questions answered, send us an email to guest@shriandkiraradio.com and check out more information at shriandkira.com. See you next